Okay, how's everybody? Oh, good? Great. Okay, so let's get our 5th week started. If I start coughing like I'm gonna die, I'm not gonna die, okay? I'm just coughing. So again, I'm under the weather. So again, don't get too close to me. I won't get too close to you because I don't want you to go through what I'm going through. So again, if I'm coughing, it's just cough. I'm not gonna die. I was interviewing someone today in the morning for the podcast. The so-called podcast that I send a link every week to you guys. I hope that some of you check that because my intention is to show you what the industry wants from you. So I was talking to this guy in the morning. You know what he works with?
I'm looking for my stuff for a charger.
Okay, so you can check it out. No problem. You know what he works with? You know what he does for a living, this guy that I interviewed in the morning? Summary. Today? What is it? Summary. Summary? Oh, Summary. Summary was another interview. I just interviewed the guy today. Just today in the morning. You know what he does? He works with C#. He works with MVC. Just this. Okay? So I just want to let you know that what we're working with is what the industry out there is asking for, okay? C#, MVC, Visual Studio, that's the stuff, okay? So you are right on the spot, at least for this course here. So what I want to start with today is by telling you that things will start to pick up now. Things were, first 4 weeks have been, no problem, have been, let's put it this way, a breeze. Has been very nice and the flow has been very slow, but now things will start to pick up and pace will start now. So I really need us to cooperate, to work together because, as I said, things will pick up. You're gonna see today. Today I'll be looking at some of you and you'll be staring at me asking what's going on right now, okay? So, but before we get to the juice of our day, I'd like to share with you the results of the survey that I asked you to fill out about a week ago. Stop, start, continue, okay? So I want to share that with you because I think it's important that you see what you wrote, not individually, but as a group. I'm not reviewing each and every person's feedback here, but the ones that got the most attention, I'll be sharing with you and I'll be letting you know what my intentions are about those things, okay? So, stop. What do you want me to stop? It seems that group presentation was not a hit. Now, the good thing is that surprise group presentation is done. So that was the only surprise group presentation. We still have one to do because we have a group project that has 3 parts. One is a proposal, and I'll go through that later. Proposal, a presentation, and actually the project. So group presentation are done, no surprise anymore. That's gone. Long classes. Well, here's the thing. This is the only section that I have that is split in 2 classes in the week. So I think that you have an advantage over my other 4 classes because they have 4 hours straight with me. So this is not so much applicable to you because I think that, again, I really like the 2 hours thing that we have because it's not overbearing like 4 hours straight. I think that you are lucky in that sense. Not so much because you have a Friday and a Monday, so you have holidays. You're gonna, we have a Monday holiday coming up, so we have 1 hour less there. You have 1 hour less, 1 class less in the first week because we didn't start on Monday, we started on Tuesday the week. So I need to adjust to that, but I think that 2 separate classes in a week, I think it's good for you. It's good pace. So that second point is not so much for you, but this I put an aggregation of all my classes. Cut downs. People want me to cut down the cut down. to cut down on the countdown. Well, I really like the countdown because it gives you a sense of how close are we from getting this done and moving on to the next part of things. So I'm going to stick around with that. And those were not a lot. I mean, I'm just mentioning others here, other points that have been mentioned. Questions for the bonus? Well, do you want bonus? Yeah? So what do you want to give me? What can you give me back if I don't ask something for the bonus? Okay? So the question is really just to spark your understanding about, okay, did I understand everything that's going on here? Is there anything that I need more information? Maybe it's just about more information. Maybe you don't have a specific question, but you want more details about certain aspects. That can be your question. Okay? Start doing. More examples, more hands-on, more practice. I get it. So that was massive. Massive across all classes. I'll try as much as possible. But the thing with MVC is that any little task becomes something big that needs to take half an hour to an hour, because just imagine every single little project, it doesn't matter how small it is, you have to set up all that stuff from the get-go. You know? So I'm thinking of how I can provide more examples, more hands-on, that will not necessarily require you from having to do everything from scratch. I'll be working on that one. I'm not sure what will come out of that, but I'll try. But you're going to have plenty of stuff to do here, hands-on. I mean, this is huge. Have a question?
Can you just have a template on Centennial that has all this setup? You just have to create the views, controls, etc.
The thing with having a pre-established template is that you're going to have to rename that. And let me test that, because just by renaming, it may get ourselves complications there, but it's a good point. I'll look at that, okay? That's a very valid point. 10 bits. Okay, unfortunately, I cannot supply more 10 bits, but comes test time, I'll have some 10 bits. So you can have some sweet and sour at the same time. Okay, so what else? Fixing Visual Studio. Okay, so I have done that with one of the classrooms. I asked everybody that had a problem with Visual Studio, and the problem that I'm looking for is that one that when you create a new project, I think that we had some over there, isn't it? When you create a new project, it shows 0 projects. I need the computer numbers so I can report that to the IT infrastructure people, because they will come in and they will install Visual Studio in that station, okay? So I have already done that for one classroom, and as we go through today, let's see what's not working here, and I'll write it down, and I'll report that. I'll report the stations that are having problems, okay? Okay, continue doing. So bonus, flipped class, the fact that I ask you, not on Fridays for this class, but on Mondays I ask you to have a look at some topics in advance, so you come Friday and you are kind of ready already with some basic knowledge. So a lot of you like the bonus and the flipped class style there, the videos as well, providing the recordings and the step-by-step videos with examples. So that's good, and I'll continue that. And also the fact that we use Padlet to ask questions anonymously, and we also use Nearpod to do some quizzes and some things like that. So those are the continuing ones. This is it. Stop, start, continue. Any questions about that? Anything that you want to mention before we move on? Okay. So for today, we are starting our week number 5. So for the next 5 weeks, we're gonna be working a lot with this example here, Sports Store. Sports Store is an example that we're gonna be going through 5 chapters of the book. with that example. And you're going to be diving in more advanced concepts of MVC that we have not covered before. So I like to think of this course as it had 3 stages. The first stage, we discussed the part invites, which was a basic example that would give you a quick overview of how to put together an MVC application. So we did that for the first 2 classes, the first 2 weeks, and then we jumped into some advanced concepts about C#, which will be the foundation of a lot of what we're going to be doing moving forward. Then we saw what? We saw Razor. Razor, the script and the syntax that we are using for our views, okay? So this was the first phase. This was the first phase of our course. We are starting today in our second phase. Second phase, it will be the next 5 weeks. So again, very focused on the sports store example. 5 weeks will be chapter 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 of the book, okay? And we're going to be building this sports store. It's an e-commerce application that every single class we're going to be working on it. And the concepts will be applied to this application. I'll be providing the source codes quite often so you can move on in the following steps, but it has really to be a cooperation here because there's a lot of contents. Some of them I will cover with you. Some of them you will follow on your own, okay? So we need to mix that because otherwise I'll have to be here just talking and talking and talking for a straight 2 hours. You don't want that, I don't want that, because that's not how we learn. And you are here not for me to be here just talking, but for you to learn. So we do whatever we have to do for you to learn, not for me to necessarily to blast information out, okay? Great. So before I go to the content, I ask you to post your questions. I see most of you have done that. I would like to know what's your expectation for this particular class, that now that we are entering this, I would say, in this new stage, any particular expectations from you? Yes, we're going to be working with databases. Entity framework, yes, we're going to be doing that. Queries, we're going to be using queries, yes, correct. We're going to query the database. Store information, because so far we didn't store information. So far we just had some fake, not fake, but in-memory repositories. So now we're going to be storing. So everybody spoke about data, storing data, database, entity framework. That's the number one thing that we're going to start today and continue on Monday, okay? Now, chapter 8 has way more stuff than that, okay? So I actually had 3 topics for us to cover. But based on what I have done before already with the other sections, I know that today and Monday we can only really explore well one topic, which is the database one. So that is really the key topic of chapter 8. The other ones, the 2 other ones that I had selected, I'm going to squeeze that to next class, not Monday, but Friday. And we're going to organize that. But you're going to see there are 14 videos for chapter 8. I cannot go through all of those 14 videos with you. So that's the reason why I asked you to go through the first 4. And then I'll be showing you video 4 here because it's database related. In video 5, you're going to do some work together. And I'll be stepping you through the process of video 5 as well. But the other ones, you're going to have 2 options here. If you are inclined to go deeper, you can step through them as well. The source code of all of those steps will be provided. But again, if you want to go one level deeper and study them and go on each step, great, go for it. I'm here available for you to ask questions. We have plenty of time for each one of you to ask me those questions. If you opt to say, okay, let me focus just on the main aspects that he's talking about, that's fine as well. So I'll leave it up to you. I can tell you that Again, there is an option for everybody. If you want to go deeper, it's there, and I'm here. If you want just to cover the main points, that's okay as well. I can promise you this. If you just cover the main points, that's what I'm going to be asking you for assignments and for tests as well. I will not be asking some nitty-gritty aspect that is obscure and it's in the bottom of page number 21 there. No, I'll be focusing on the bigger concepts that will be exchanged here. Because what I see a lot in this course being done is that the instructor comes here and just go through every single line, blasting, and you don't even have time to follow through. That's not my style. Okay, with that said, let's get started. So, the first 3 points here, they are what you just mentioned, the database ones. We have to understand what is a data repository. We'll be working with databases, and we'll be using Entity Framework to access the database. Okay? We're going to be checking a lot of code today, a bit of diagrams as well. So this was topic number 1. Topic number 2, I'll just mention, it's one more concept around routing, so how the URLs get created. Again, this will be pushed to next Friday, and this one as well. It's one more aspect of the view, okay? Our old friend here, this diagram, as I said, I'm going to be showing that every single class, and I am. But today, we're going to be focusing on some of those components there. So the first one, as you said yourself, we're going to be talking about database and entity framework. When you see this EF, it means entity framework, okay? So entity framework is around the model component. But the model component, it talks to the controller, okay? So we have to keep this communication here in perspective as well, and we're going to explore a lot this model component of our diagram. That's the first one. And the next ones, this will be for next Friday. We're going to be talking about routing. We're going to be going in more advanced concepts about routing, but I'm not going to focus on that right now. In the third one, we're going to go and move to views, and we're going to be exploring something called partial view. Partial view will be necessary for you to put together the next assignment, which I'll be talking about on Monday, not today. You may see that already on the Centennial, but yeah, I'll talk about that on Monday. Partial views, yeah. But again, I'll explain that, the assignment on Monday, and that I'll explain next Friday. As I said, next 5 weeks, 5 chapters of the book. If you have the book, hard code, the hard copy or the digital copy, that's great. You can follow what the book is asking you to do. You can follow the videos. You're going to have a lot of resources there, okay? If you don't, that's fine as well. You have the videos. You have resources that I will post links to, and will help you on that. You have asked your questions. You have submitted them, as I did that with, I think, last week. Keep the questions open, so we can make sure that they get addressed as we go along between today and Monday as well, because what we're going to be covering will require 2 days for us to go through. Okay, so database, entity framework, and repositories. This is all mixed together. Each one, we're going to describe each component in our diagram, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay? You have done, if you have followed the exercise for video 1, 2, 3, 4, you have created a repository. What was the name of the repository that you have created? The fake repository. So it's using data that is stored where? In the memory. Okay? So we are hard coding the data, just so you can have the application running, and we can create one repository, your first repository. Repository is, even a database repository, is a representation in memory of the collection of elements. In our case here with Sports Store, we have products. So it's the collection in memory. It might be a hard-coded one. It might be the representation of that database collection that is stored in the database, and then you bring it to memory, and that's what a repository is. It's a place that you get data from, and you update data, you interact with the data of your application, okay? As I said, we're going to be focused on this. The next slide, think of the next slide as I'm zooming in this spot here. I'll be making this bigger, and we're going to zoom in this particular aspect of it, okay? So we have our model, which I will start to build now, the details of our models, and we have our controller here. We cannot forget about that because it's the only point of connection between our model and the rest of the application. Okay? The rest of the application is all here. Model is very isolated. And the only place that really connects with that model is here by the controller. Okay? Now, when you think about the models that you started putting together, what is the first one that comes to mind when you think about the models in this sports store application? Which model comes to mind? The product model, okay? So product is our first one. So we have a product model, a product class, that represents one product, one single product, okay? But very quickly, we need a collection of them. We need something that can represent not one product, but a collection of them. So what other model did you create that can help with this collection representation? An interface, how is the interface called? A queryable is a type of collection. You're gonna see that. But the name of the interface that you have created in your project. Product repository. Yeah, product repository. So we have created this guy here. This guy here is expecting, to hold a list of products, but it is an interface. So when you hear the word interface, what is that? What is, or if you don't want to define, what are some of the characteristics of an interface? What can you tell me about interfaces?
It's a kind of a gateway that user access.
It's a gateway. It is, and that's very much what the iProduct repository is. But again, what else can you tell me about interface in general? Not just this particular one, but when you hear the word interface, what is it that comes to mind? Anything. No, don't hold back. Class? Okay, class, but interface, is interface a class? It looks like, but it's not. Because actually we have the keyword called interface. So interface is not a class, but it looks like. So you have accessors, public and private. What else? I guess let me reword this. What is the difference between an interface and a class? Not just a keyword. Okay, there's some inheritance there. That's fine. Both of them, actually, you can inherit from. You can inherit from a class. You can inherit from an interface. But again, there is a few or one fundamental thing that differentiates them. Or maybe Google, what's the difference between interface and class? Come on, give me one thing. I'm sure that someone here knows something a bit more about interfaces. Okay, interface helps with the support of multiple inheritance. That's correct. You can have one class inheriting from multiple interfaces, but one class can only inherit from another class. You cannot have multiple classes inheriting you cannot have the same class inheriting from multiple classes, but you can inherit from multiple interfaces, okay? But I'm looking for something else. I'm looking for something else. There's one basic aspect of interface that is a big differentiation between class and interface.
Interface doesn't contain constructors?
That's correct. It does not. Let me see if it cannot. Can it? There is something that interface cannot have that classes have. And it's not necessarily constructor. Fields. Well, you can have properties. You can have properties in both of them. But you can have methods. But think about methods in an interface. Think about methods in a class. What's the difference?
Interface is usually about one function, one method, and class can have multiple methods. So interface, so about like one feature and nothing else. So that's why
Interfaces can have multiple methods. Yes, they can. But again, there is something about methods that interface cannot, that classes can.
Well, it doesn't do anything with the method. Like you just make the method, but you don't put the behavior there.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. There's no implementation in the interface. Interfaces are just method signatures. You don't have the body for the methods there. You just say, this interface has this property, has this method, but the actual implementation is not there. Like?
They stand as a holder.
Yeah, it's more of a, think of an interface more as a template. It's a kind of a template. It's saying that, okay, if you want to inherit from, yes?
So is this like abstract methods?
It is. It is. Actually, it is exactly that. But classes can have a, let me think here. No, yes. Yeah, only abstract classes can have abstract methods, okay? So, but all methods in an interface, they are all abstract. They don't have implementation at all. Actually, they cannot have implementation because interface cannot have implementations, okay? So you can think about as a template to whoever is inheriting from it. So if you inherit from this interface, you are promising that whatever this interface is listing there in terms of methods, whoever inherits from it will implement them. You had a question?
We can use like a nested method or override method in interface?
If we can use a nested class,
Yeah, and
nested means that it's inside of the other one. Usually we apply that terminology to classes. I mean, you have a class and then you have a class inside a class. Interface, I'm not sure if you can have an interface inside an interface. Is that your question?
And also we can use override method?
We can use override. Yes, we can. We can. We can to override whatever definition is there in the interface. Now, why am I insisting on that? Because we had the iProduct interface. What was the concrete class that inherits from iProduct repository that you have built there in our example? Which repository is that? It was a product related. What is the name? What is the name specifically about this particular repository that we have created there in the first 3 videos? Fake repository, okay? So we have that fake repository, which is inherited from my repository. Now, as I said, a lot of stuff here, well, I may not have said that, but a lot of things that we're going to be talking about today, some of them, you're going to think that it's way too much, and it's overwhelming, and that's okay, but you're going to get used to the terminology and to those things, okay? Our application here, the only thing that it knows about the model are the products, the product in this repository here. The controller does not know anything about what's going on beyond this interface. It just knows that, okay, I'm calling this interface here, and I don't care what is underneath here, because my only concern is what this guy can provide me. Now, this guy will provide some services, at some point, eventually, it needs to become fake repository or another repository. But let's not worry about that for now. Fake repository is our in-memory repository of data. So you have gone this far with the repository there. The next one that you're going to be creating is our repository called Entity Framework Product Repository. Okay, that one will be a new repository that you're going to be able to interact with the data stored in the database. Okay? We're not going to be doing this right now, but what I'm going to do next, I'm going to open the source code, and I'm going to explain you what went on for this to happen. So I'm going to just step back here, and I'm going to step you through some of the codes, okay? Hopefully you had a chance to do that, so it will not be brand new to you, but at least you're going to, questions will come up in your head there, and then voice them. Either verbally, use Padlet. I have not checked Padlet yet today, but I'm doing now. Okay. So, let me see here. Let me keep me in schedule. Okay, so this is the source code for up to step number 4. The source code is available on Centennial. If you go to the course shell, if you go to content, scroll down, and you're going to see source codes. There in source codes, you have the student system, which all the steps are provided there. You also have Sports Store Chapter 8. That source code there that says Sports up to Chapter 8, Part 4. This is the codes that you can use as a reference if we step, not if, but when we step today to part number 5 of the videos. You can use that as your starting point. Or you can use your own code, that's fine. You can use your own if it's done, or you can use that one to start from there and carry on with part 5. So just wanted to point out. And throughout the day today and on Monday, I'll be sharing more steps here. So I'll be adding more code here. And you're going to be able to come here and get the source code up to any step that you may want to, so you can practice the next step, okay? So, I have the code open here. Let me expand this. This is step number 4, so it has already some entity framework stuff here. Let's focus on the fake repository. So let's have a look at the fake one. So what is it that we have here? Well, we have our new class, fake repository. It inherits from iProduct repository. And iProduct repository, what does it have? It's an interface. And it has, what is this? Is this a method? Is this a property? Products. Products there. Is it a function, methods, action, property? What is this? A property. How do you know that's a property? Because you have a get there. Now, what type of property is that one? It's a, okay, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase. Is this a read and write property, a write only, a read only? What type of? Read only. Why do you know that? Because you just have a get, okay? So you don't have a set, okay? That's fine. Now, here we are now introduced with another type of collection. Yet another. Let's think for a second here and remember what collections have we worked with before so far? IEnumerable. Which one? What else? List. List as well. Okay. Now we are introduced to yet another one. iQueryable. iQueryable is, well, I from interface. It's an interface. It inherits from IEnumerable. So I could have said IEnumerable here as well, and it would have worked this closely the same way. But there's a difference between IEnumerable and iQueryable. Let me give you this example, and it's more about databases. Okay, I'll show you how let me explain this. One of those, when you are working with a database, let's say that you are working with a database called products, and you want to get products that are, that cost more than $20. You want to filter that. First of all, if you remember a link, which methods of link would you use to filter data? Where. Okay? So use where. Great. So one of those, iQueryable and iNumerable, one of those works like this. One will get all products in memory first, and then it will figure out which products are more expensive than $20 in memory. And then it will get rid of the, in memory, of the ones that don't match the criteria in memory. The other one will go to the database. It will only bring the products that meet the criteria already. So it does not bring all products. It will only bring the ones already that are more expensive than $20. Number one, number two, which one do you think it's more efficient? Number two, because it's only bringing to the memory the filtered information. Imagine that you have 1,000 products. It will bring all 1,000 products to the memory and then filter it out. It's not efficient. So the first one is iNumerable. iNumerable is not that efficient. iQueryable will build this query for us that will only bring the necessary products to us. Okay? So again, iNumerable is iQueryable much more efficient than iNumerable. Okay? That's why we are we're going to be working a lot with iQueryable as well. Okay? Some places may not be that important because we want all products anyway, but that's the main difference. One is more efficient with data when we are filtering than the other one. Okay? So far we have just spoken about the interface. Then we have our fake product repository, inherits from my product repository, and then we have the implementation, the true implementation of our products property. Now, the other way, remember Lambda that we have discussed during our C# essentials? Lambda is also used when you have a read-only property. So that's the reason why we can use this equal greater than sign, because this is a read-only property. So you have this Lambda syntax here. Now, what else we have here? We are creating a list of products in memory, and we are initializing them. Remember, again, now you see why we have gone through that C# essentials there. Because in one single place, we are using Lambda, we are using collection initialization, okay? That's why we went through that. And because we are creating a list, at the end, we have to convert that list to something that becomes compatible with an iQueryable. So that's the reason why you see this at the end that says as queryable product. So we have the list of products here for our fake repository. What else we have here? Okay, let's explore our, any questions so far? Yes?
Number one, the video number one, first when we start coding the application, say, new routes.
Yes. Okay, so that's the second topic that we're going to be discussing. Most likely we won't have time today nor Monday. We're going to be talking about that on Friday, next Friday. Okay? So that's the third topic, the second one. But focus of right now is the database, so I don't want us to deviate because that will take us in a different direction, but we're going to go there eventually, okay? And just a different way, just that we can create custom routing. As you're going to see, when I run this application here, we don't have a home controller. We have a product controller. Because of that, we need to create a custom routing. By default, it's home, but if we want it to be products, we have to code custom.
So we use Visual Series default role. It means that we need to have a controller that's named home controller.
If we use if you use default, you said? Yes. Yes, if we use the default, we do have to have, okay? Okay, so let me see if there is anything going on here. Okay, how these three work together. Okay, finish there and I'll have a look later. Okay, so let's have a look at our product controller. So, as I said, if we look at the diagram, the controller needs to know about the repository, but it only knows about the iProduct repository. That's it, okay? And here we have, that's our controller. Our controller has a private repository because it needs to have access to data. The private repository is an iProduct repository. But then, iProduct repository doesn't have any implementation. It does not have implementation. So how does it know that we are using the fake repository? Nowhere there? Yes, in the startup. The startup, we are configuring something there. Again, let's unpack that. What is it that we are saying in our startup that is assisting on that?
Is transient just a replacement of the product repository with fake?
So that's what it's saying. Let's not get hooked up in the details of, oh, what exactly is a transient. Let's just say that there is a table in memory of our MVC application that has a mapping mechanism that says whenever in the application, whenever you need an iProduct repository, use the fake repository. This is what it's saying here. I'm going to repeat that. In memory, what this is doing is whenever the application, the controller, because most likely it will be the controller who will need that, whenever the controller needs an iProduct repository, give it back a fake product repository. Go ahead.
Can you use iProduct repository like directly?
If we can use the fake product repository directly?
No, iProduct directly.
We cannot use directly because it doesn't have implementation.
Okay, so afterwards we'll just replace fake product repository with EF product repository.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So that's a good. Yeah.
This relationship that you said here is temporary. Will modify through the end of the application, or is this?
It's this for the application, but as you develop, you can change this.
My question is, why do we need a fake repository?
Okay, the fake one, it's just to provide some initial data. But let me ask that. I said that we have many components today. You know, we have the repository, we have the database, and then we have entity framework. Who can tell me what entity framework is? Entity framework is the library that is allowing us to access the database. Okay, I'll get to your question in a second. So I'm leading to that. So entity framework allows the application to talk to the database. Entity framework is the one that knows that. Not only to talk with the database, but actually entity framework will help us create the database, the product table, create everything. So it's fantastic what entity framework does for us. But we're going to get there. Now, today I'm using entity framework. But tomorrow, there are dozens of other ways that you can access and interact with the database in a platform like Visual Studio, C#, .NET Core. There are other ways. Today, you are happy with entity framework, and that's great. But maybe tomorrow, you want to try another approach to access the database. Maybe you want to try because you think that, I was promised that this other way would be faster, would be simpler to code, whatever it is. But the point is that now, you don't need to reconstruct your application. you can just create a new repository. The one that we're going to be coding today is the entity framework repository. But we can have another one called, I'll give you an example, the ADO repository, which is another way to access the database. We can have another one that is another approach. So you can have different approaches and try different approaches without recoding the entire application. Okay. That's why. And here's the other thing. In MVC, we promote independence. We promote independence. So this will give us that. Look at this. If I try to change entity framework in the future, if I was not using iRepository, I would have to go everywhere in my code that is using entity framework, that is using the entity framework product repository and change all of those places. Here, in the setup, I'll go to one single place. I'll go to that diagram again. You see, as I said, the controller only knows about the interface. It does need to know that it's using the fake repository. Who knows that? MVC knows that, and we just saw that line of code that does the mapping from this to this one here. So if we decide to change, we keep the entire application the same. We go to that single line of code and we say, don't use fake repository anymore. Use the real one. Use the entity framework repository. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, I got it.
So that's about it.
It's a router for the...
It is a router. That's a good place to. That's a good way to put it. It is a router, and again, it makes this piece independent. You know, the rest of the application dependent from what's going on behind the scenes here, because it isolates things here. Okay. Again, I don't expect you all to understand this right away. This will become more and more natural as we go along, but that's a starting point. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have our 5 minutes break. Once you come back, you can, if you want, you can use, let me see a question here. Okay, how these three work together, iProduct repository and framework. Okay, so I hope that I have explained iProduct repository and fake products. Entity framework will be our next step, and we're going to cover that next. So go to a 5 minutes break. Once you come back, you can download the source code of number 4 here, step number 4, and go through step number 5, the video of step number 5. Start with this or with your own code if you want, but then go through step number 5. I'll give you, actually going to take the rest of the class for that because I know how it goes. I'll be walking around assisting, but then coming Monday, I will walk you through that code myself so I can explain you step by step on what we're doing here with this and what else is behind here. But I want you first to try it, get a sense of it, and then I will go through it, okay? So let's go for our 5 minutes, and we come back, we carry on. Yes. Then a second.
About this,
yes.
Whenever the control some data in here, they just use this.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's too inefficient.
Otherwise, if you get rid of this code,
Yeah.
try to run. You're going to see that it will break the application.
Also, if I already done the follow the video
Number
so I really don't have to download this code.
Yes, if you can just carry on with your code. Okay? Yeah, sure.
It's on the email. This one. I have a question. Yeah.
Okay.
I can use this only when I use a loop.
Collections. Collections, yes.
Because
there is a loop that you have to go through.
It's gonna be collect a number of data, so we need this.
Whenever you have a collection of data, You need an enumerable or a list or an queryable that we saw here. You need one of those that are collections, that collect a lot of data, a lot of products, a lot of students. Okay? Make sense? Okay, good. Yes.
So I did a repository because I found
Okay.
the party invites.
Okay, okay. That's for the recipe.
Yeah, but it should it be like this? So when you do the recipe and then you click that, it should show the.
Okay. It should, but here's the thing: we didn't get to that kind of information yet.
Yeah.
What you would have to do a few things.
Can I just create one recipe and then?
Yes, you can create one view recipe,
Yeah.
just hard code there.
Yeah, that's okay.
And whenever you click on any one, show that same one. That's fine, because we are doing hard coded stuff here. Okay? It's all hard coded now.
And it's okay that I put it here, right?
That's okay.
Instead of home control.
Actually, if you want to put some fake data like what you're doing, that's the correct place. It's a repository. Okay?
Actually, can I help you?
Yes.
Sorry. I'll do hard coding.
When I did
The recipe. Pizza.
Yeah, pizza. And the rest, when I was trying to add a recipe, I want to go to the view recipe immediately, but for some reason it doesn't work. So I just make the recipe list and then view detail add reviews like this.
Okay.
I did like this way. So,
Okay.
But
Yeah,
there
that's better.
in the instructor there is no those kind of views. So is it okay? Can I use? Can I
Like
make-
she added.
That's okay, but let me ask you this. Go to the homepage of the application. Okay, where can I see the list of recipes? Where?
Here.
Oh, okay, I missed that. Go back,
yeah.
go back. I missed the fact that you have a navigation there. I thought it was just a browser. Okay, great, that's fine, that's fine. View recipe. Okay,
So view and review. So it's
now, just, you should remember that it's all hard coded. So the list of recipes should be there without you having to add them. You didn't have to add them.
it should be already there.
The HTML, in the HTML of the views, they should be all there. There was no need to do dynamic stuff, okay? But if you did dynamic, that's fine. That's okay.
hard.
You are one step ahead in a way, because that's the next assignment.
Yeah, it's okay, or I have to.
No, you don't have to. As long as what you are doing is working, as long as it's working, that's fine. Okay? Ken, you had a question? I'll be there in a second.
I know you already went through this, but
Yep.
why do we need to use this?
Okay,
instead of
so
equal sign?
you can do a regular get statement. You see, remember the get accessor and the set in properties? So you could write get, but this is the Lambda way. Actually, let's try this. Copy this whole thing. And let's recreate this property in a more traditional way. Paste it below.
Can you
Yeah, paste it just in the next line. Yeah, paste it there. Comment it out, the first one. The first, yeah. You have to comment out, yeah, the whole thing. Now, get rid of the lambda. Yeah, just delete it. Delete the lambda. Hit enter. Hit enter. Then curly braces.
Oh,
Just do as a regular, as a get, and then write get inside.
you said get?
Yeah, this is not a method. This is a property.
Okay.
Okay, so curly braces again. Hit enter. Then get. Yeah, write as a property. Get. No, this is not. You have to implement it. So get rid of the semicolon. Curly braces again. And then return, because you are using the gets. So return, and then return this.
Turn this whole thing?
Yeah.
And it's going to be automatic.
That's it. So this is the same as that. It's just that is using the lambda syntax. Okay? Yes, a more convenient way.
I think the
First of all, for the assignment, how do we put CSS in our thing?
Okay, you can create a folder under www roots called CSS. And then you can add your CSS file there. Okay, following?
Yeah.
Okay, and then in your views, you can go and put link tag, and then href equals to, and point to that CSS.
Okay.
Okay? Make sense?
Yeah. Also,
Yeah, this is one of the stations that has a problem.
I guess so.
Yeah, because you cannot even load it, you see? It doesn't even load your solution. What was the other question? Anything else?
I didn't this problem occur with other people and there was a solution to it?
Not that I'm aware of. Not this problem. There were other problems that we had some solutions, but this problem, I'm not aware of a solution.
Okay, then.
Okay? But I'll write down the station name, number 05. Yep.
Days we have extensions for the assignment.
What is that?
And the extensions for the assignment.
Which extensions?
How many days we have maximum?
I really don't remember. But again, whenever you're ready, upload it. But I have to check. But
Deduct some marks for that, right? Because the late submissions.
yeah, I'm gonna have a look at what we have agreed. But yeah, okay. Just one. I'll be there in a second. What's up?
Yeah, you have the build here, but whenever I use it here, it crashes.
Okay, so here's the thing. I have a slide for that because the video is using framework 2.0 and we are using framework 2.1. So your final result should look like that. So just focus on the last line. Don't focus too much on what the video is showing there. It should just look like that. Okay?
Okay, so let's see product. Oh, actually.
So I can look there. That's better to look there.
So let's say so product has a get, right? So what if I mean iProduct has a get. So what if we put a set here and then so what would be the actual formula of this?
Oh, you would be able to use that. Because Lambda syntax is just for read-only properties. Okay? Yeah, no problem. Go ahead. Okay, I'll do a quick attendance here. Andre? Andre? Yep. Okay. Amal? Abjit? Arika? Chuyun? Curtis? Danish? Diego? Ederson? EJ? Grace? Harbin? Hassan? Jared? Josh? Joyce? Ken? Crizel? Manal? Muhammad Ali? Shibli? Martha? Natalia? Richard? Rung Suang? Yu? Yep. Saida? Shaniqua? Vadim? Vandana? Vandana? And Vladislav. If I did not call your name, let me know. I got you. Okay, great. Yes.
Can I add one more class in here?
No, you cannot.
Only one.
Only one model, only one class can go with the model. If you need to add more stuff, you have the option to use view bag, so you can send information inside the view bag, or you can create a third class that can aggregate two other classes that you want to send in. Okay? We're going to be talking about that. I think actually in one of the videos of chapter 8, it talks about that. When you want to use a view model, there is a video there that shows how to use a view model. If you want to do that, what you're describing, you want to check that video, view model. Okay?
I'm getting error 404.
Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so normally when you get this error is because you might be missing the controller, you might be missing the action. What is the default controller? Home. What is the default action? So you may want to look at that. The default action, I think that you might be missing the default action. So the default action is called index. So you need an action called index.
I have home instead of index.
Okay, that is a view. The action is inside of the home controller. The actions are the methods in the home controller. So you need to have not a home view, but an index view. I'm showing this slide because in the videos, the video is using .NET Framework, .NET Core 2.0, okay? So which is slightly different from 2.1. So that slide that I'm showing is how the validate scope should look like, because if you follow exactly what the video is showing, you won't be able to see it in your codes. It shows slightly different. So you should adjust and use this last line of code when you are doing the disable scope verification, okay? Yeah.
Sorry, I tried to use the command line, but I think
okay, so
it's wrong.
that's okay. That's okay. Let's go back to the project because make sure that it's all saved. Is it all saved?
Yeah.
Is it compiling? So try to compile. Like build. Well,
Okay.
that's okay.
Should compile.
Okay, so close it. I see a problem. I don't know if it's the problem, but it's a problem. See the space that you have there? This little space here, this is a problem. You cannot have that. So save it, compile again. So do a build solution. Actually, rebuild solution, because it guarantees that everything gets rebuilt. Go again there. Rebuild solution. Go to your command line. Actually, let's see if it got all built there. Yeah, so succeeded, that's fine. Try to run it again. Just page up. Yep, give it a try. Hold on. Good. That's okay. Question? Chris, let me just here. Thank you. What's up? Grace.
I was wondering when I click the recipe list,
Yep.
if I want to see the list that I already
When you see the detail?
as a
Hardcore. Yep.
So, do I have to make that in this recipe class or?
Okay, can you show me what you're trying to do?
When I asked you about my assignment, you told me when I click the
Recipe list.
there should be some
Yeah.
with
Well, yeah, that was the idea, to have it hard-coded. But if it's working for you to go first and add,
yeah, it's working.
okay, so if add is working, that's fine. However, try to add one. Okay. Then go to the list, that's fine. Click there, view the details. Yeah, so this says view recipe. Is it showing you this recipe or every recipe?
Just I want to make every recipe.
Yeah, so when you say view recipe, you should show one recipe. But again, it doesn't have to be that recipe. It can be a hard-coded. Do you understand when I say hard-coded in the HTML? Yep. Sure? Because you should show me a hard-coded recipe, hard-coded in the HTML. Show a chicken with chicken ingredients and how to. Yeah. So show me the. It can be showing a chicken for each and every single one. It doesn't matter, because we're not doing dynamically yet.
Maybe in here I could write
Not in the list. You hard code the view. View recipe? View recipe. Yeah, view recipe. Yeah. So you hard code. View recipe should not be a for each. It's only one recipe in the view recipe. What is that?
The view recipe.
View recipe is one recipe.
Yeah, it's name and the ingredient and description. It's like hard coding in here.
Yes, hard coding there, right there. You are not, so when you view recipe, because if you just want to list the recipes again, you have the recipe list already.
just only one.
One, you see, it's like this. Let's say that you are, let me see here. Okay, one example. You are doing a shopping cart, you are buying products on Amazon. When you want to go check out, have you bought products on Amazon? When you go check out, can you see the list of products that you buy?
Yeah.
But you don't see all the details. But when you click on products, you see the product details. But one product, not all products, you see one product. So go to the recipe, to the list, pizza, yeah. View the details of that recipe.
Yeah, for this recipe.
Yeah, for this recipe, yeah.
And add comment. After you add comment, you will go back here and add comment.
That's okay, but again, you will not be collecting those comments yet.
Oh yeah.
Because it's all, there's no in-memory hard coding yet. It's just HTML. In the next assignment, we're gonna take care of that.
So we're gonna commit the database?
Not the database yet.
Okay.
The third assignment is database. The second assignment is in memory. Okay? So the first one is hard coding the HTML. The second one is in memory. The third one is connecting to the database. Okay?
So now we just do the navigation for this.
Navigation, yes. Yes. Basically, yes. Okay? Okay, no problem. I don't know if this question is still valid, but someone asked, how do you implement CSS in Visual Studio? Well, if it's still valid, what you can do is you can, under the www root folder, you can create a folder called, let's say, CSS. Then here you can add a new item. And then you can go to, let me see here, style sheet. Then you can name your style sheet. Let's say styles. Then again, you can put any styles you want. And then in the views, in the particular views, or in the view in the shared, let's say, you can do something like this. You can say link hell equals to style sheet, then href. Then you put the path. The path is CSS dash styles. I'll get rid of this tilde because sometimes it gets problematic. I close this. And that's how you can add a style sheet. Now, the other thing that you have to make sure to do is in the startup, you have to make sure that you have this line of code here. Use static files, because this is what will make the www root folder available to the rest of the application. If you have any follow-up questions on that, just ask me to come by and I'll clarify. Yep.
On a laptop, where would www root be?
Okay.
I don't seem to have it.
Yeah, you don't seem to have it. Let's close it. Save it. Save everything here.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's close this application, this project. So just go File, Close Solution. Let's create a new one because I want to see a new one from scratch.
Okay.
So so are you using which version of Visual Studio here?
This is 2019.
2019. Okay. Let's see how it works in 2019. You should have ASP.NET Core. Okay. Okay.
Sure.
I know, like, you got something in my mind, but I think I would stack it.
A test.
I will just do it like
There you go.
Okay, so select an empty one. Don't select 3.0 yet. We're not using that.
Oh.
So
Okay.
select
That's probably
2.1.
where it made the mistake then.
Let's see. So 2.1 empty. Let me see what else. Configure GPS. Uncheck that one. Okay, should be okay now. See? www root.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
No problem. What's up?
I loaded it up on this computer
Yep.
and I don't have root.
Okay, you don't have the www root.
It just has a red thing on it.
Okay, so can you right-click Sports Store? Right-click there, go to Properties. Okay, .NET Core 2.1. Come here to debug. Okay, close. You can close that. You can close. So how did it show up then? Okay, it show up like with this cross, or
It showed that as soon as I booted it, it took it from
Okay.
the Centennial, extracted everything. and
so
just-
right-click here. Go to Add, New folder. Okay. Expand. Expand there. www root expand. Yeah. So now it seems to be okay. Maybe it was not created yet. It was just saying that it was not there, and then when you try to create a new folder, it made sure that it added to it. So it's okay.
Okay, so basically this computer sometimes doesn't load up the folders.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying right now what I see is all good.
Did your source file have like whole controller views?
Yes.
And, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Is this the one that I provided?
Yes.
But which step is that one?
4, I believe.
Can you close this and show me again? This all working. So download it from Centennial.
Okay.
I want to see what because maybe my file is wrong there. Okay, so open Visual Studio there, yeah, and then let's load from it, from within. Just drag it. Yeah, you can do that. Okay. Well, I didn't see the, but anyway,
Oh,
that's
no,
all good there. See? Okay.
Okay, that's weird. Okay, thank you.
No problem. What's up? Yep.
Question. Can we, for the assignment, can we use...
That's tasty. I'm hungry already.
Yeah, me too.
Tell me how.
Can we use, what do you call it, templates?
Templates for the project?
Yeah, for the assignment.
You mean when you go to create new project, you use not the empty template? Not the empty one? Which template you mean?
For an instance, now I downloaded this template, right? This one. It's online template. Can I include the design to the project, which is the recipe project?
So this is a CSS template.
Yeah. Pages and fonts. So this is the
But it comes with HTML there.
Yeah.
Are you converting each file to CSS HTML? Are you converting those? How are you? My point that those are HTML files.
Yes.
How are you saving them inside the project? How are you converting them to a CS?
I'm asking, can I do that?
Well, you can, but it might be very involving for you because you're gonna have to convert each of those files to become views.
Okay.
You can. If in the end, if you deliver what's needed to be delivered.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But it's
It's okay.
It's doable.
It's doable. I'm not sure what kind of work is involved for you to do that.
Okay.
To do that. So, but again, if once you are done trying that, if you want to show me.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
I'm sorry, I want
What's
to
up?
ask a question about the second assignment.
Yep.
So we have here the view recipe. Is it going to be a hard-coded only, or the description of the view recipe is going to be based on what we have added in at recipe?
It does not have to because it's not listed there. I didn't list that there.
Okay.
Just follow what. Yeah. Keep the view hard coded because if I did not mention in the assignments, it's not required.
Okay. And is it okay if my CSS will look like a little bit crappy because I didn't?
I'm not judging you
Yes.
or on the design skills or. Now, what I'll be evaluating is it in the correct location? Is it being shared across the different views? If it is, great. That's it. All that's needed. Okay. Sure.
I don't know if I understood it correct. So
Yep.
in our assignment, we can add the recipe, but we cannot like see a page with the description.
You can enter.
Like you can click add recipe, blah blah blah, and you will add recipe. You will see it in a list of recipes. Right?
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to see the recipe that you entered there. You don't need because it's so
we
hard
just-
coded
so
HTML.
We just get data from it, and when we click view recipe, we just see the recipe that I hard coded.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. At this for assignment 1, yes, that's enough. Okay.
We should see
If you did dynamically.
from the list. So we'll have the list, and for example, the first one is spaghetti with
Yes.
something, so I click on this and I see like the detailed page.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you don't have to make the view of that recipe dynamic because you are not taught yet how to do that. Okay, so you can click in the spaghetti and you can see the chicken there. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, as long as you see a recipe there, that eventually you're gonna make it dynamic.
Okay.
Dynamic. Okay. No problem. Yep.
It's mandatory to use a CSS, or we can do inline CSS also.
Well, what is the assignment asking? Check the assignment. So, is it asking for inline CSS or a CSS file?
I think it's not mentioned.
No, that's not.
CSS file.
Let's check.
Just any CSS style you
Shared.
Okay.
So it means that it's a file.
But if I use the inline CSS from basic layout, and it will be applied throughout all of the pages, is it okay?
In one single. Yeah, I guess it fits the bill.
I can show you.
Okay.
Okay, and mine.
Yep.
She and me, I got.
Okay.
So I use in my basic layout. I am using this.
The inline.
Inline style.
Mhm.
So it's working on both. The same style for
Okay.
each
All of
page
the pages.
and low. Since I used Bootstrap, so I had my CSS file here.
Not so much.
Okay.
I just didn't use it here.
Okay. So, I mean, when I said, okay, so there is no reason why. Go back to that other one. Yeah. So, the other one that you were using the styles there.
Oh, basically.
Yeah. So why don't you put this in the CSS? I mean, why not?
Because this is only for the
Header.
but I'm using this bootstrap.
That's fine. But again, custom CSS, they should be. I mean, you have this file already, so use it. But the thing with CSS is that, but it is actually to avoid inline CSS. So we should start to apply the best practices that we use in the industry out there. So my recommendation, because and that's very simple. You just move it there and create say a new class there. That's it. So move the inline ones. Move the inline ones to the CSS file. Let's use the best practice.
If we create the CSS link here, it won't have any conflict with the bootstrap?
Well, unless you name things exactly like bootstrap, but otherwise no.
Okay.
Okay? Okay?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so I would like to quickly mention about assignment 2. I know that we are still in the finishings of assignment 1, but I don't want to wait for Monday. I want to let you know about assignment 2 right away, so Monday we can move on from there. So I made it available already, and it's due. Actually, you have 4 weeks for that one, because if it was supposed to be 3 weeks, it would be in the reading week, so I pushed 1 more week there, so we have 4 weeks to do that one. So Saturday, November 2nd there. There is one topic that we have not covered yet, which is partial view. There's a partial view here somewhere. Yeah, partial view. So partial view, we're going to be talking about that next Friday, but that's okay. It's a minor topic. But now what we are doing is you have done a lot of hard-coded HTML with your recipes. Now you're going to be moving to an in-memory repository, not database. I'm going to repeat this 3 times. First time, this is not saving the data in the database. This is saving the data in memory, just in how can I save a repository to memory, just in memory? What kind of a repository that would be? It would be a temporary. How do I call a temporary collection? Not serialized. Serialized you usually use as a file, but just an in-memory collection. What is an in-memory collection? Can you give me one example of an in-memory collection? Well, then it's part of the assignment. You're going to figure it out. Okay, I'm not going to say. But what I'm saying is that no saving to the database. Again, assignment number 2 is not saving data to the database. Just because we just started with database, don't confuse that. You don't need to save the data to the database yet on assignment 2. 3, yes. 2, no. No database, just in memory.
Are we still going to use the entity framework?
No, because that's database. So assignment 2, we are not using database. We are not using entity framework. We are using an in-memory repository, the same one that we used in the recipe. Sorry, not in recipe. The first one, party invites. The one that we use in party invites. Use that model. It will be a similar one here. Okay. So what I'm asking here is just to make sure that you have a model there with the recipes, Now you have to define a model this time around. So far you didn't have to create a view shared folder you're going to use for a partial view. You don't know yet about partial view, but you're going to get to know it. Now, when you add the recipe should go to the memory. It should be saved somewhere, not in the database, just in memory. Okay? You should use a layout file to define the styling. You should use a models folder to have a repository class. Use this iRepository that we have discussed today. Have a look at our first example, which I keep forgetting the name. Par invites, yeah. We use that as a reference point as well. Actually, view recipe should load the correct recipe in memory. So I would strongly suggest that you add a recipe ID so you can identify each of the recipes. You may even ask for the user to enter that. That will be fine, because when we are using database, this ID can be created automatically. I'll leave it up to you. You can ask the user to enter that, even though it's not very conventional, but that's fine. But use that ID so you can now click in a recipe and you can view the correct recipe that you are clicking, okay? You can even do a fake repository that would load some recipes already for you. Because just imagine this, when you are testing your application, if I'm looking at the list of recipes, I should see some recipes there already. Otherwise, every time you run, you have to populate again. You have to add recipes again. So if you load with some initial dummy data, it will be better for you to test your list of recipes, to view the recipe, okay? As you go through the assignments, ask me questions. I'm available to address them, but that's assignment number 2, okay? That's it. Carry on. Let's keep going with step number 5 for the sports store. And again, I'll still be around. And Monday, I will be demonstrating how to put that together, okay? Yep.
We have to complete the sports store.
You mean the sports store here? Yeah. Well, the idea is to carry on just with step number 5. If you are done with step number 5, that's okay. And Monday, I'll carry on, and I'll explain step number 5 step by step, okay? That's what we're going to do. This is not correct. Which other computers had that problem? Was that this one I wrote down? Was that this one as well? This one? These two?
That one, yeah.
Yep.
For the recipe list, is it just like the name of the recipes?
Click recipe list?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have just one recipe?
Yeah.
How about you put a little list there?
Like this?
Which one is?
I only hard-coded one. Just one.
Yeah, so hardcore a few more.
Yeah, I know, but like, is it just like the names of the recipes?
Do we have other information that you'd like to put?
Because I thought view recipe would have all those information.
Yes, that's the idea. But again, view recipe will have all the information of one recipe, not of every recipe, okay? View recipe, otherwise what is the difference between list and view? Okay, I'm gonna give the same example. Have you shopped in Amazon?
Okay.
Did you ever buy anything in Amazon? Okay, let's say that you bought 2 items. You go to the checkout page. You see there's 2 items there, correct? Do you see all the details of that product? I mean, if you want to see more details about the product, you click on the product and you go to the product page. That's the idea here. That's the recipe page. You see the list of recipes, and you click on a recipe.
Wait, so view recipe doesn't have to be like the navigation?
In the navigation, no, it does not. It's accessible when you click on the recipe.
So like view recipe would be inside the recipe?
Yes.
Okay.
Good one.
I just wanted to know, like by tomorrow, 11:30, then the Dropbox gonna be.
No, Dropbox will stay open. Yeah. So again.
But as soon as.
Yes. It will stay open. Okay.
Is the deployment in IIS will be covered in this course?
The deployment to IIS. It depends on if we have enough time to cover that. I'm hoping that we do. But yeah, there is one aspect of one of the chapters that covers that. So let's see. It's more towards the end. It's very, very towards the end, deployment. Okay? No problem. Bye. Yep.
So like, for every recipe, there's gonna be a view recipe.
No, now here's the thing. You don't need to create, because we're using hard-coded HTML. So it's okay if you look at the spaghetti recipe and you click and it shows the chicken, the chicken recipe. That's fine. That's fine for this one, but for next assignments, it has to be all dynamic. So all of that, the hard coding of HTML will be gone, and you're going to be dynamic, having that all dynamic.
Yeah, I know, but like.
How to get the ID from the list?
You have, you have the list. The list is done via a loop.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that loop, you should have access to the ID of the product of the recipe. So I'm assuming that you have access to, because you have the collection, so you have access to the ID and the name of the recipe and the details. Then when you are building the link, that let's say that the link you are building is in the name of the product. So you open the a tag, and you have, let's say that you are using the, what is the name? The tag helper. So you have the tag ASP-action equals to view details. So we are calling the view details of the recipe, or view recipe. And then there's another parameter that says ASP-, if I'm not mistaken, it's dash, and then whatever identifier you want to pass it over. Let's say ASP-recipe ID equals to the ID of the recipe that you are going through the loop. By doing that, the recipe ID will be attached to the address in the href of that link. So, are you following through? Okay. So when you click the general idea.
But how to pick from code? How to use the correct statement that they need to write to get this ID?
To get the ID that was clicked. So again, you are giving out to the view details, you are giving the ID of the recipe to the view details. In view details, which is an action, it has a parameter called recipe ID. That recipe ID comes from the URL. So you just get the recipe ID, and in your code, you're going to do something like repository.products.where. And then you're going to say, a recipe ID equals to whatever is in the parameter that you are sending in. Again, I'm explaining that verbally, so you may not be able to visualize that, but that's the idea.
Have a list. Each item from list has an ID.
ID.
And to pick this item and pass as a parameter to the next one.
To the view.
To the view. Yeah.
Sorry, not actually to the view. To the action. The action, it comes. This ID comes as a parameter.
Yeah.
So you
use
put.
this parameter to populate
The view. So you look.
I didn't.
So bring it on, and then again we can work it out. Okay.
It's already in my first part, but next week we can talk more.
Okay. Awesome.
All right. So let's say I have 5 recipes here. Right? Does it have to have 5 view recipes?
That's what I'm saying. You just have to have one view recipe. Even if I click the spaghetti, it can show. Let me ask you this: which recipe are you going to build your view recipe? You're going to build the view recipe of. You're going to put the details of chicken, spaghetti, whatever. So each and every link there can link to the same view. That's fine. That's fine.
So to select one recipe, does it have to be like a drop down?
It's a list. It's an HTML table. You said that you added one. Where are the other ones? Show me the other ones.
No, I only have one.
Yeah, but put more.
Yeah,
What is stopping you to put more? It doesn't have to be a drop down. Here, this name, I click here, and it should be linked to the view. I should click the name, and it should call the view recipe. Think about the shopping cart again. When you are in the checkout of Amazon, you don't see all the details of that product, of the new iPhone that you bought there. You have to click the product, and then you see all the details of the iPhone.
But how do we get those like information from the one that we clicked?
Yeah, so are you talking about assignment, or are you talking about in general? Or talking about the assignment? Because the assignment is not asking for that yet.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard-coded. It's hard-coded. I don't know what you're missing there. I mean, you have to explain, because I explained you. It cannot be easier than that. You are, in a way, overcomplicating.
Yeah, I know.
So it's just a link that goes to the. See this view here, view recipe. Where is it going right now? Okay. Well, yeah. Ingredient. Yeah, I mean, it would be great if this was formatted without a table, but just click the product there in the recipe, and goes here. It just has to go there, the same place. So click Philippine. Yeah, it goes there.
What about the review recipe?
Well, review recipe, it's a button somewhere in the. So you are looking at the details of the recipe. You click in a review recipe, it goes to a form that will collect the details of. Now, you don't need to save that, but that's where you're going to collect the information. Okay? No problem.
Sorry, but the view recipe has to be fully functional, right?
The view recipe?
Like when you click the actual recipe, it has to display everything, right?
It has to display everything. Everything that you yeah, it has to display whatever you put there in the HTML. But again, it's not dynamic. When you say fully implemented, I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Like, so we click one recipe and then it displays all the
information. Yes, all the information.